President Trump is mounting yet another push for health care reform, and we think we've cracked the code here. It's a rock being given to Steve Bannon for Halloween. As Congress is consumed with a deadline to fund the federal government, the money runs out on Saturday, April 29th, which also marks the end of Trump's first 100 days. Multiple outlets report that the White House is pressuring GOP leadership to pass a health reform bill before that date. Axios reports that a hearing on tax reform has been postponed to focus on health care matters instead.
All right, so anyway, so now we've got everybody, dogs and cats
These
talking
guys,
to each other. Let's just cut straight to it.
It's a rock.
Bob Costa, what's going on here? I asked Casey if she was hearing frustration from Republicans on the Hill, and they were like, we're just frustrated that you're covering the story. This is never going to happen. What are you hearing?
So when I call my sources at the White House yesterday, they say, we're moving. We're going to bring this bill up if we can next week. We're trying to cut a deal. White House cuts a deal with the Freedom Caucus. Then I call my sources on Capitol Hill and the Republican leadership. They say, what are you talking about? We're not hearing that.
Oh, my God.
No vote. We don't have the votes for this kind of legislation. There's a real divide. Here's what's happening on Pennsylvania Avenue. The Trump confidants are under immense pressure from the top to get something done on health care before the 100-day mark. And Paul Ryan's allies at Capitol Hill are saying, whoa, wait a minute. This thing already fell apart. We don't want to bring it to the floor again if we don't have the votes.
That's so funny because Donald Trump just tweeted a couple of minutes ago about the 100-day thing, which the White House, as Bob says, has laid out as the standard. They want to get this done.
Right.
Trump tweeted, no matter how much I accomplish during the ridiculous standard of the first 100 days, and it has been a lot, including Supreme Court, media will kill. So he's calling the 100 days thing ridiculous, but the White House is saying that's what.
Well, John Meacham, the irony is nobody's focused on their first 100 days since FDR more than Donald Trump. He is the one that is setting this ridiculous standard.
Yeah. Well, it's as someone who tends to the dramatic gesture, that was a big part of the campaign. In 90 days, you will have this, and
on day one, a lot of times. Yeah.
And I continue to think that it's partly because he thinks in terms of weekly television. You know, everything's about an episode next week. You know, it's a cliffhanger.
No, but
one of his tells when you know he's making something up is when he says, there's going to be more on that in a week.
Yeah, believe me.
And you know he's not making, you know it's nothing.
But here's my question, Joe. Yeah. Why would they want to go, forget that they'll have one day to do it, they're not going to get the votes. Why would they want to go anywhere near health care at this point? By the way, leave it to the Democrats. You can't own it. Move right to tax reform. I don't understand strategically.
Casey.
Why even go?
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Casey Hunt, why does he go back? I said a couple weeks ago.
Is there any way it's
possible? This was like putting your hand on a stove, getting burned, looking at it and go, huh, and then doing it again and go, huh. I mean, presidents keep making this mistake. Why hasn't Trump learned?
They still haven't done any of the groundwork either, Joe. I mean, look, when Democrats actually did pass the ACA, they had every single group that you could possibly get interested in this, the pharmaceutical companies, the health insurers, you know, they spent months building a coalition, and they still barely got it through with only Democratic votes. And the Trump administration has done literally none of that at this point. And they were saying before the first push, it doesn't matter, we're going to get it through. This is all anybody wants to do. So it's not clear to me exactly why they haven't sorted through that. And Mitch McConnell is remarkably honest about this, to what Donnie was just saying, essentially throwing his hands up and saying, look, the Democrats are going to own this. We're just going to have to see what happens. He's pretty blunt that it's not going to happen. And why you'd ask members of the House to walk the plank on this if they know that it's going nowhere is a little bit beyond me.
And a couple weeks ago, Mitch McConnell basically said when Donald Trump was saying, oh, we're going to go back and do it again, he goes, oh, that's cute. You know, oh, that's so cute. Mitch McConnell has been straightforward. And Bob Costa, again, the thing that shocks me, it's got to shock people at the Capitol, is that they've done absolutely no groundwork on this. They haven't held committee meetings. They've tried to cram something through. They've tried to make these backroom deals. And it impacts 1/6 of the economy. Why can't anybody tell Donald Trump this is not going to happen and you're just going to keep embarrassing yourself?
There's something I've picked up in my reporting that's pretty intriguing. On a political point, House Republicans right now can't pass anything on health care. In the public narrative, based on my reporting, Republicans feel like they can be blamed for not getting rid of Obamacare. Their whole point in some ways, in some quarters in the House right now, to pass this bill in the House is to get it out of the House and send it to the Senate. If it goes to the Senate and goes nowhere, in the view of many Republicans privately, then they can run against Senate Democrats in 2018 for stopping the repeal of Obamacare. But as is, with no bill passing the House, it looks like Republicans are incompetent. So they just want to get legislation out of the House.
I just don't know how this isn't seen, but there's no way this can happen. Then how is this not seen as giving Steve Bannon another failure so they can get him out the door? It just, I mean, there's no one saying that this can happen.
Even if they pass health care, so many people would lose their health care that the very people elected.
Seems like a waste
so
of
it's a lose-lose either way.
Just
I don't understand it.
White House correspondent for The Hill, Jordan Fabian, asked the president yesterday, which is more important to him, a vote on health care or a vote of a bill to keep the government open? Jordan joins us now. What was his answer?
Well, Mika, he wants both. That's what he said. He wants both. And I think, look, that's the essence of Donald Trump right there, right? He wants the wins on everything. But, you know, as we've been talking about this whole time, the calendar, the practical realities of getting both things done next week is very hard. I mean, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's very, very difficult. In fact, there's not even agreement right now on a bill to keep the government open. And there's been some really intense negotiations behind the scenes over things like border wall funding and funding for sanctuary cities. So that's not even a settled matter. And then you're talking about adding a major health care bill on top of that, all in the next week. It's going to be very difficult uphill climb for President Trump and congressional Republicans.
Bob Costa, is the government going to shut down?
No. Based on my reporting, Joe, they're going to come back to Washington next week and pass some kind of short-term funding bill as they try to get their act together. There's no deal yet on some kind of long-term spending package, but they know they can delay the shutdown by just having a little piece of legislation to get them through.
Just want to throw out there that arguably all this trouble about trying to repeal and replace affirms the importance. I remember sitting here in June of 2012 when John Roberts wrote the majority opinion upholding the tax provision of Obamacare. And we talked then about once you introduce a benefit, even if it represents benefits to a somewhat limited number of people, it is incredibly difficult in the American political culture to ever take it away.
And the biggest problem, Willie, right now between the House and the Senate on whether this passes or not, anything that guts the Medicaid provisions of this law will never, and I mean ever, get through the United States Senate. That is just, write it down. And so they're just playing with themselves in the House, playing sort of intramural ball if they're trying to pass anything that guts the Medicaid part.
Which was the case a month ago when we were doing this. The House was having this conversation. We'd have senators on and say, this isn't going to pass the Senate. They can say all they want to say. And even this compromise, Jordan, that they're talking about anyway, which it keeps the essential health benefits, but it allows states a waiver on health benefits. That was a sticking point the last time. So effectively they say, yes, we're going to keep it unless you don't want to keep it.
Right, and that's the sticking point for a lot of centrists in this debate. You talk to, you know, folks like Congressman Donovan from New York, like who we spoke to yesterday, and he says, look, this is just, you know, wolf in sheep's clothing. They're essentially stripping out the health benefits because, you know, states that are governed by Republicans can just say, look, we don't want to do it. It's driving up premiums too high. There's a lot of loopholes in that language. They can just get rid of it. So you're kind of tweaking the language a little bit, but the fundamental problem for a lot of lawmakers is still there.
Mika.
Wow, and the Politico Playbook points out this fun fact that there's not one person in the senior leadership of the White House who has passed a bill in Congress. Not one.
That's literally Bob Costa like saying, winning a bid to build a 90-story skyscraper in New York City and not having one person in management that's ever built a building before. Where is their McMaster, we've been asking, for domestic policy, who actually understands the House, who understands the Senate, and understands
perhaps
the built-in tensions between the two?
The operation inside of the White House that has the most experience on legislation is Mark Short, who's a longtime advisor to Vice President Pence and Vice President Pence himself. But, of course, the Vice President's pretty occupied with foreign policy and his foreign trip. The challenge right now for congressional leaders, Joe, and I'm sure you would understand this as a former member, is Congress, the Republicans in Congress feel like the White House many of them right now who I've spoken to, is conducting its own negotiations with the Freedom Caucus, thinking Ryan and McConnell can't be counted upon to close the deal. So the White House has taken this initiative, but the White House doesn't have these deep ties to Congress and the Freedom Caucus. As much as they give the Freedom Caucus what they want on health care, whenever you go a little bit to the right, you lose some votes from the center and the Tuesday group. And so there's a lot of skittishness on Capitol Hill. Can whatever the White House ends up doing on health care pass, because they don't really understand, in the House's view, what's actually where the votes are and what the whip count is.
So the question is, and just like we asked, when was the president going to learn throughout the fall that you can't attack the intel community, that you can't savage the press, that you can't fight all these institutions that will fight you back? When is the president going to understand he needs to pick up the phone and call Mitch McConnell and say, Mr. Majority Leader, I need to pass a bill through the Senate. How do I do it?
Joe, you've said many times, every outsider comes to Washington and says, I'm going to play outside ball. I don't need the inside. And they get swallowed up.
They always
and it's
lose.
that simple. You literally have said that 100 times, and you're watching it happen right
For Donald Trump, this would be, Mika, like a guy that developed buildings in Omaha.
Yeah.
He's coming to New York City one day and going, I'm going to build skyscrapers in New York, but I'm not going to play by Manhattan's rules. Screw the mayor, screw the unions, screw the building authorities,
the code.
Screw everybody, screw the code, screw everybody. I'm going to do it my own way. And I'm going to build the biggest skyscrapers in New York City history. And I'm not going to, the mayor, the hell with the mayor, the hell with the papers, the hell with the Post, the hell with the Times, and the unions. Pfft, what would happen to that guy? What would happen to that guy?
Well,
flight back to Omaha.
I think we're watching.
We're watching the same thing happening in Washington, D.C. from a guy who thinks that he can reset the rules of a town that has lived by a set of rules for 240 years. You can't do it. Madison and Hamilton, John, they knew what they were doing. And they built a constitution that can withstand anybody thinking they can do an end run around it.
Don't bore us.
Absolutely no. Mika's very upset.
And Martin Van Buren.
That you brought up.
You cannot bring up Martin Van Buren,
Don't do it.
French and Indian War, or
Shays Rebellion.
All on the
Shays Rebellion.
was
all
huge.
on the banned list.
Stay away
That
from
was
it.
huge. That was
Stay away.
huge.
Stay away.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And my question is, I mean, here we have someone who prides himself on his deal making, on his pragmatism. Why doesn't he? Why hasn't he hired? Who's his new Roy Cohn?
He's figured out.
When he wanted to master the New York media and the New York tabloid world, he hired Roy Cohn.
Jared
Right.
Kushner.
Well, but Jared's never been down to Washington. Ivanka's never been down to Washington. They don't know Washington, and there's no crime in that. Just like I don't know development in New York City.
No, if you want to do a panel, they're great.
But I will tell you this: if I were going to build a 90-story skyscraper, I would get the smartest people, the best lobbyists, the best architects, the best builders, and I'd bring them in and say, I need to build a 90s. I know nothing about this. You guys are the experts. You women are the experts. Build it for me.
Talk to me.
Tell me what I need to do. What's the first thing I need to do?
Not his management style. He's become a multi-billionaire not playing that way.
Well,
it's not going to succeed.
It's
just
different.
not. And by the way, take a page for what he's done on foreign policy. Those 3 or 4 guys he surrounded himself with, incredibly
He's done it on
grown-up
foreign
people,
policy.
and follow that formula domestically.
He's done it on foreign policy. Bob Costa, why can't he do that on domestic policy? Because he's sure put some great names around him. And by the way,
names.
That's all his credit. That's to his credit. He selected them. Why won't he select somebody like that on domestic policy?
It's the question, Joe, and here's the name to watch. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Yes, Paul Ryan's the House Speaker, and they do have a relationship with the White House. So does McConnell, the Majority Leader. But I'm told from people at the White House and the Hill that McCarthy, this easygoing Californian, has been able to build a rapport with Trump. It's not always easy to build a rapport with Trump, lawmakers say. And they have these conversations at night on the phone where McCarthy, who helped recruit a lot of these members in 2010, the younger members, he tells them stories, tells the president stories about top members in almost an old LBJ style. What's the way to get this guy or this woman? How do you bring people along? And I'm told McCarthy, more than anyone right now, is trying to guide the president through this jungle of the U.S. House.
I love the House.
Speaking of Zachary Tyler,
I don't know if I've told you guys, I was once a member of the House.
Really?
Yes,
and
he
I
was
love
in
the
Congress.
House. But here's the deal: get somebody from the Senate.
Yeah.
Get somebody, pass the bill through the Senate first.
Yeah.
Then passing it through the House will be easy.
Oh, it goes to the Senate first.
Well, I'm saying, get you a senator that knows how to get.
Who would you pick?
Like who?
Right
like
now,
who?
who would
it be?
I don't know.
Let me think. Hold
don't
on.
know.
We need
He's
to take a
closest to
moment.
David Perdue of Georgia, but the Purdue's not in the leadership.
No.
No, you also get a retired member of the Senate. Get somebody like Trent Lott. Who, by the way, Trent Lott worked with Tom Daschle. Trent Lott. No, I mean, I'm not saying he will. Maybe he hates Trent Lott. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm saying, though, somebody like that, Trent Lott, a former majority leader that actually
To think about this.
dealt with Tom Daschle around the clock and figured out how to pass things. That's what he needs.
All right, we have to go to break.
I know.
The Hills, Jordan Fabian, thank you very much.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.